So the death of George Floyd sparked a nationwide conversation into excessive force. What exactly is it, and when can it be used?
Yeah, with that guilty verdict, some felt justice had been served. But what if we told you that in the state of Florida, just because an officer is found guilty of excessive force doesn't mean they lose their certification?
Now, a 6-month investigation from our 10 Investigates team uncovered hundreds of officers have been found guilty of excessive force. But many of them, while many of them were fired from their jobs, they didn't lose their badges.
We want to warn you that what you're about to watch has some graphic video. 10 Investigates' Jennifer Titus has more in our special report, Excessive.
Get on the ground now! Get on the ground! Get your hands! Stop resisting! Stop resisting! Okay! Stop! Okay! I didn't do anything!
The officer that clipped me with the car walks past me and kicks me in my face.
On September 22nd, 2016, a teenager tried to run from police after being pulled over in Coral Gables, a suburb outside of Miami.
I was like, bro, the handcuffs are too tight. He's like, I don't give a shut up.
The teen says he was then kicked twice in the face by an officer.
Yeah, he kicked me twice. So he said, is there any cameras? He looked around. Yeah, he looked around.
Who did he ask that to?
The other officer.
But there were more than cameras catching what happened to that young man.
Our officers did not stand for the violence, notified their chain of command right away.
Internal affairs took over.
Once that was done, I made a recommendation to my city manager for termination.
But in the state of Florida, excessive force cases that are found to be sustained don't stop there. While complaints are not tracked by FDLE, sustained cases are turned over to the Criminal Justice Standards Training Commission, or the CJSTC. The CJSTC is made up of 19 members that include law enforcement, from sheriffs to police chiefs to correctional officers. There is also a citizen on the committee that is appointed by the governor. The commission oversees an officer's discipline if an IA investigation sustains a moral character violation, which includes excessive use of force. They decide whether an officer loses their certification, which allows them to work as law enforcement in the state of Florida. So like we mentioned in the case of Coral Gables,
The final order.
while the officer was terminated from his current department, he didn't lose his police certification. Instead, that certificate was put on suspension.
We received notice later on about what the stipulation was.
10 Investigates wanted to know more. We requested data showing every time an excessive force case of an officer was sustained from the Florida Department of Law Enforcement, and we dug in for 6 months.
Hey, Zach.
Hey guys, how's it going?
And even enlisted the help of our data team at 9 News in Denver.
What do we got?
After weeks of combing through that data, we discovered 1,776 cases of excessive force ruled as sustained since 1985. But what was surprising, of those, only 436 reached a conclusion. The others just seemed to go away. And in another shocking twist, only 158 had their certificate revoked. That's right, 158 of 1,776 cases resulted in certificates being revoked. The others were either given a suspension or put on probation.
Come outside now, you're about to get to this last
Like this one. A former Zephyr Hills officer accused of using excessive force by deploying his taser when it was not needed. Then there was this case in Manatee County, where a deputy struck an inmate with his knee multiple times while the inmate was being held down on the floor. What message does that send?
It becomes a
sometimes a difficult decision.
Tommy Ford is the current Bay County Sheriff.
Speak. State your full name and the agency you represent.
And the chair of the CJSTC.
You know, I can't speak to prior commissions and what happened then, but I know that the group we have takes it very seriously and certainly realizes the public sentiment on those issues and really works hard to make the right decisions.
But I'm comfortable in the fact that what FDLE has put into effect is that anybody that is a CEO like me that wants to hire that individual, if they don't do their due diligence, that's on them.
Chief Hudak says that's because a background check would bring up the officer's history.
Hands on the bar.
But 10 Investigates found some officers disciplined for excessive force continue to work at their current agency
Hands on the bar, man.
or move to other agencies and continue to work.
Come here. You know, he grabbed a hold of me and then threw me up into the fence.
Warren Bunn says what happened to him last October wasn't right.
And I had my handcuffs on. What was I doing? I mean, I wasn't doing it. There was no violent behavior.
His wife filed a complaint with the Citrus County Sheriff's Office claiming the officer on scene used excessive force on her husband.
He hit me in the head with whatever part of his body. He shoved me into the back seat and the back of my head got hit really hardly on the door.
We learned that officer was terminated after an IA investigation.
It's relieving.
But even so, Bunce wonders what will happen next to that officer.
I really believe that there should be.
More discipline,
Absolutely.
more action taken against officers that commit excessive force.
Just more, yeah, they need more training, it sounds like.
These complaints aren't tracked statewide, which is why our 10 Investigates team started tracking it themselves. And what we found, one criminal justice professor called disturbing. We'll get into that part 2 of our conversation and investigation tomorrow at 5:30.